Our theme partner for INFOCOM 2016 is Ericsson Global Services India. Our theme partner is proud to present the theme session on disruptions driving innovative transformations. May I request all present here to kindly take their seats. We're about to start off with this session. Ladies and gentlemen, dear delegates, we are very privileged to have with us our esteemed theme keynote speaker, Mr. Amitabh Ray, Managing Director, Ericsson Global Services India. But before I call him onto the dais, I take this honor to introduce him before you. As Managing Director, Ericsson Global Services India and Head of Global Services Center India, Mr. Amitabh Ray manages operations in the areas of R&D, product development, pre-sales and sales support, services delivery, and a number of global shared support functions for Ericsson. Prior to this, he worked as the Head of Strategy and Portfolio Function of Ericsson's Global Services Business Unit. Having experience in working on global assignments in corporate strategy, management consulting, program and engagement management, change management, and systems integration, Mr. Ray has developed and managed a diverse group of clients in both private and government sectors in Asia, Europe, and the United States. Before joining Ericsson, Mr. Ray has worked as Vice President in IBM, where his key responsibilities were managing the growth of the delivery centers across the world. As a partner at PwC during his tenure, Mr. Amitabh headed the 3 largest strategic business units and was also responsible for delivering offshore services to PwC customers worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I welcome our theme keynote speaker, Mr. Amitabh Ray.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to INFOCOM for giving me the opportunity to come here again and talk about the theme of the seminar at INFOCOM 2016, which is disruption and technology and innovation. It's a great pleasure to be here and listening to all other eminent speakers. I would start from where Professor Dr. Mitra ended by saying that who cares about the school. Wonderful presentation, very thought-provoking. I would say that let nobody care. We don't worry because we don't need any school anymore in the future. And we'll not need any universities, we'll not need any colleges, and I'll try to see how technology is going to replace those. But we need good professors like him and others because what I learned recently, the challenge of our current education system is not about, that how we deliver things, the curriculum, which he kind of mentioned at the end, because we teach subject, and we don't need subjects. As human being, when we grow up, we don't need subject. I don't need physics or chemistry in my day-to-day life, but I need application of physics and chemistry in my day-to-day life because that is important and crucial for me. But I don't need what was written in my chemistry book of class 11, chapter 11, okay, or chapter 12 in class 10. So tomorrow, I believe the education system will be organized around experience. Because as human being, that's what we need. We face experience in our life. And our experience need to be dealt with multiple subjects. Mathematics cannot solve all my daily problem. Neither English can do that, or physics or chemistry. But each of those coming together to help me in a particular situation, that's where education brings a lot of value. And I believe in tomorrow's network society, the education will be around experience and not around subjects. We'll not teach anymore physics, chemistry, mathematics, how weird it might sound today to our future students. So what I'm going to talk about is the disruption driving innovation and transformation in the industry. So let me start with saying that no matter what you do today in each of your own area, the one thing you should plan for sure that in 10 years' time, probably that particular work will not be there, right? And I will try to give some examples, and I'll try to explain what I mean. The speed of change, as many people say, will never be as slow as it is today. And majority of the disruptions and transformation are being driven by technology. So whatever you saw in the previous session is basically how technology today impacting the education as an industry. And education, as we heard, is not going to look same in 10 years' time. So whatever you do today, be rest assured that will not be there in 10 years' time. So you need to plan that, how in a changed situation you will react. And this transformation is mostly because of technology, and it's technology-driven, how our life has changed over the past many years. When people get access to technology, the boundaries between different activities goes away. And therefore, it creates different opportunity, and also it creates different challenges. Opportunities for new entrants and challenges for incumbents. Today, we have people who are creating YouTube video and earning literally millions of dollars by generating the ad revenue for those YouTube videos. Now you see, that ad revenue was basically an area which was there for advertising agencies. And their business got disrupted, and whole set of new paradigm has come. And this is a power shift. So when people get access to technology and the power shift, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, if we look at, in our time, the revolution, we call it disruption, you can call it revolution, that's what happened. For future businesses, increasingly, we need more value for less resources. And I'll talk about automation and automation of knowledge workers. I think about 3 years or 4 years back in one of the INFOCOM, I started introducing that how automation of knowledge worker is going to disrupt our life. And today, 4 years down the line, we can see more real life use cases and what is happening and how fast it is happening. So for today's business, we need more value out of less resources. It can be human capital, it can be, money, anything. We need less resources. And that is key to survive in our environment. We cannot afford those typists or clerks sitting in millions. Those jobs are gone. They got automated by a small machine called PC, personal computer. And when we look at technology and what we need in technology and why it's going to be so disruptive, because that is what is the need of the hour. We don't need a linear growth. Our Mother Earth cannot sustain what a linear growth can give us. We cannot survive with incrementalism or incremental growth. We need exponential growth, exponential speed. And that's why we need more and more technology, and that's where technology is adding value. Today we live in a network society. Networks are one of the biggest disruption in our world. First time in the history, we could connect millions of people without going through any hierarchy. And that created all those opportunities. And you've seen in the previous presenter's example how internet can change people's life and can change people's behavior. Today's society is becoming more and more a network society. Tomorrow's society will be totally digital. Your kids will not understand a difference between a physical world and a digital world. They are growing up in a more digital society. You all have experiences perhaps. You go for your vacation, you go to a hotel and check in with your family, and you have kids. What's the first thing the kids will ask you? What is the Wi-Fi password? The first thing they will ask, what is the Wi-Fi password? And you say, no, you don't have Wi-Fi here, my dear. Let's have some human-to-human interaction. It's just you and me. This wonderful vacation. We'll not look at the net. We'll not watch TV. They will say, no, you don't do that in civilized world. That's why you send people to jail. Isolate them from the rest of the world. Because they are citizens of network society, and you cannot stop them from that behavior. For them, connectivity is given. Like for us, maybe energy is given. The power is given. I didn't call the organizer and ask when I was coming here or driving here that, do you have power? Can I show my PowerPoint presentation? It's given. Oh, there will be a projector and there will be a laptop connected to it, and there will be power in the room. So today what I am going to talk about might be a little difficult for us to digest, including myself. But guess what? For the next generation, this is going to be BAU. So there are a lot of disruptions and revolution of our time you can think of, driven primarily by internet, being more social, media, cloud, big data analytics. And it is driving very, very different set of behavior and opportunity. Speed up change, as I said, that speed up change, it will never be as slow as it is today. From an industry I come from that side, this is how we see telephone industry. For us, it took 100 years to connect the first billion individual. The next billion came in 10 years. And that will be the theme of my today's presentation, exponentialism and how it can change things. Speed up change, if you see. It's always like a hockey stick. And why it is like a hockey stick? Because human being can do only so much. Computers can do much more, and they can become faster by the day. Therefore, you see that when more and more computation powers are being added, how rapidly we are moving up and how things are changing faster. And this graph perhaps will tell you that why we always see that, okay, the amount of change we are facing as this generation was so different and so much more than what we faced as our previous generation and what our kids and the next generation will see. So the computers and computing powers are creating the big difference why things are changing so fast. So don't be afraid to embrace this. Computers are going to take away all the jobs or most of the jobs we have today. Technology exists to today replace 80% of what you and I do. Make no mistake, they are not being implemented for a reason. People are looking at what you and I will do in that scenario. Technology exists. 80% of everybody's job can be replaced by technology. Because technology thinks in a different way. You and I will not be able to relate to that statement. And why? Because we are human beings. Human being can only think in a linear manner. That is the challenge we have with our, hardware here. All of us work in different industries. We do budgeting. How do we do budgeting? Bosses tells us, there's a budgeting time, you'll have to work hard. And we put a lot of people in one conference room, and then we take last year's number. And what do? We add 5% in the revenue side, reduce 2% in the cost side, and then we get so happy that budgeting is done, and we all go for a coffee break. That's how human brains can think, in a linear manner. We cannot think even that, yes, next year my company's revenue will grow by 500%. If you tell to your colleague, they'll say, this guy already had something in the morning before coming to office. But think about this. The difference between that and an exponential thought process. In this room and come back and say, I have done in 30 steps, but that's it. I stop. 30 meters, 1 meter a step. Incrementalism. We go from 40 steps, we come down to 35 and 30. You stop there. That's how we operate. Now let me explain the exponentialism here. Now I tell you that you take every step, but remember this time, you use the technology which will allow you to take the next step, and you can cover the distance as double the last step. So you start the first step, 1 meter. The next one is 2 meters. The next one is 4, and then go 8. And you make 80, same 30 steps, and you come back and tell me how far you have covered. Any wild guess here? How much that person will cover with that 30 step in an exponential manner? 26 times around the Earth's orbit. 30 steps. And this was predicted by this gentleman, founder of Intel. In 1965, he said, the technology will allow us to add twice as much transistors in a chip in every 2 years. Exponentialism. And what happened to that? When number of transistors increased, the machine became faster and faster and faster. We cannot compete, so don't even try to compete against those machines. And now I'll tell you another thing. In near future, machines will become more intelligent than you and me. And when I introduced it some months back to one of the small gathering, and people challenged that, no way, computers cannot be more intelligent than human beings because, we developed them. I said, don't worry, it will. Today, with artificial intelligence, with deep learning and machine learning technology, we are creating machines which can teach themselves. And they learn. We learn from experience. We learn from data. There's nothing wrong to imagine you can make a machine to do that same thing. So then what happens? We are so proud that we are human race. We have this much of IQ. Einstein had the maximum IQ. And we measure everybody against that. And system and computers are leapfrogging, right? They're changing. Every few years, they're becoming double and double intelligent. One day it will touch Einstein's IQ. Think about what is going to happen to us, human race, after 2 years. We'll stay where we are, but you have a computer who can have twice Einstein's IQ. And that's not a problem. What happens in another 8 years with exponential growth? It's very difficult for us to stand here and predict that. So machines are being used to replace what we do or what we want to do today. Everywhere. It's in education, we heard some of the example, and I have tons of use cases. I know we are late, so I'll not go into too many details, but I'll show you a couple of examples, and you will understand what machines are doing today and going to do tomorrow. So I'm here in an event which is hosted by a media house. So I thought I'll pick up one example from your industry. You have journalists here. And what I'm going to introduce the next, that the future journalism, or a large part of it, will be done by computers and machines. And laugh at me before I show you the video or the next chart. It is not science fiction. So look at this report. Associated Press, majority of their financial analysis today even, they show, and you and I read in newspapers, they are generated by computers. There is no human being. There is a machine using artificial intelligence and writing this. The only thing you will find at the bottom part with the red block, they say that this is generated by a machine. So many years back, people started working on it, that how you can teach machines to write reports. So they started doing this. Even they asked that computer, the AI machine, which is nothing but a computer, that how do you think that you look like? Because today, we have all the human beings, they're working as reporters. So we know their icons. So if I need to print something, I can say, okay, this is the picture of the person who written this report. How you would like to represent us? And the computer answered this. This is how he would like himself to be shown to the world and created by himself. That this is the robot reporter. So I'll roll a small video to show that what people are doing around this.
There are robot lizards, robot soldiers, creepy humanoid robots, and now robot reporters. Sort of. Computer algorithms are automatically writing news articles like these fundamental financial stories.
Robot journalism is really the wave of the future. It's where the industry is going.
The Associated Press is using software created by a company called Automated Insights to generate about 4,200 quarterly report summaries of major companies. Basic financial data is plugged into the software and a news article is generated. Next year, the AP will begin covering some sporting events using the same software. CCTV is an Associated Press client but does not use these automated articles. Other news outlets are also experimenting with similar technologies.
So robot journalism allows journalists to get back to what they love doing, which is telling stories.
The Associated Press says it's constantly improving the software and mistakes are rare. More rare, in fact, than when humans were writing these articles. So score one for the robots.
So go to the website of AP, Associated Press, or Automated Insights. That's the company. They created the software, and majority of the feed you get today, perhaps in your newspapers also, is being generated. If it is coming through AP, it's being generated by this bot, not written by any human being. And there are tons of examples you can see on their site, and they allow you to give some data and see how they will make the report out of it. Well, when we started talking about this, and again, colleagues from the media industry, the journalists came and say, yeah, okay, so I understand that robots can actually write nice news articles looking at pure data. But there are areas where you need more feelings. You'll have to judge people's movement and all. Well, Associated Press, they again engaged Automated Insight to work that how we can automate the sports events. And they said, no, sports event cannot be done. This is a report. of American football written by the same robot. And they said by end of next year, all their sports channels or the news feed they will pass on will be developed by automated insight, a robot. So the robot journalists are going to cover the college sports, and that's the agreement they have with their organizers of the college sports, which is a big thing in the US, right? So what journalists are going to do? That's a good question. When robots are writing your reports, what you are going to do in future? And interestingly, companies in your industry like Forbes, New York Times, Oregon Publish, and Broadcasting Organization, all of them, they are working together to find out where perhaps the journalism can go when majority of the rudimentary reporting gets automated. Maybe it will create great opportunity for journalists to do more investigative reporting and high-end kind of research work, which will perhaps help us to get the right kind of news. It will be interesting to see how politicians allow these technologies to get implemented. Because, as I said, whatever we are talking about, whatever we do today, 80% of that can be done by the technology, even today. The biggest barriers worldwide are the politicians. They don't want us to do that, because they'll have to deal with a lot of other questions, and maybe for the right reason, they want to slow down. But think about it. With this, it will be very difficult to manipulate media. Or maybe it will be easier. I don't know. So we talked about journalism. We talked about the lawyers. What is the basic thing the lawyers does? They gather a lot of data. If you go to a typical lawyer's cabin, you'll find books are everywhere. That's what they do. And they analyze them. And when the case comes, they try to relate them, correlate them. Now think about it. If the data can be made available to a machine, and machine which can increase its activity in an exponential manner every 2 years, and you put artificial intelligence and replace the human with algorithms, what can be done? IBM Watson last year created the first robot lawyer, and it got hired by the first law firm this year in the United States. They call the platform as Watson, and Watson has various versions. This is for the lawyer. Again, you can go to the net and figure it out. So it's the cognitive system which try to gather information as much as it can, and it uses some logic and a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning to see how do we correlate things. And it can do better than human being. We know all the Da Vinci surgical system that started replacing the surgeons. More precise than human being and making operations. They are trying to do with prostate cancer operation. I was fortunate to meet one of the scientists work here as a doctor from a few years back from Columbia Medical School in the US. And that point in time they said that we do today remote surgery. It's just very expensive because the machines can perform it better than us without any error. And what doctor does? Tell me. They go through all these different type of symptom, pretty much getting generated out of some system somewhere, automated. You have your blood report and this report and that report, your ECG and how your heart is working, how your blood pressure is working. And then they try to explain from their experience what kind of disease it could be. And then the next step, what they do, they listen to all the medical representative comes to their offices in the evening and teach them what kind of medicine needed for what kind of disease. And they try to correlate these two without sounding it bad, but these are middlemen in tomorrow's society. The lawyers, the doctors and all. Basically what they do, they're getting the information from one side, they're getting the knowledge from another side, and then correlating. Machines will do better than them without any mistake, and to learn from its mistake. And think about the cars we put on the road, the automated cars. That will be the biggest disruption. 35% people globally, the active workforce is linked with automated industry, and then it's a long, story. I'm not getting there. But what it is going to do? It is going to take away the job from the drivers, the truck drivers, the bus drivers. And then people come because of people like me and you will come and question because we think linear way, right? We cannot think in an exponential manner. No. What is going to happen if that car makes a mistake? And I posed this question to one of the scientists, that what if the car makes mistake? And his answer to me was very, very straightforward. He said that, look, we don't need to design a car which is flawless. All we need to do is design it to drive it better than human being. That's all we need. Because today millions of people every year dying out of wrong driving, accidents. If I can reduce it to a great extent, we have achieved our job. Why you think? Because that's the first question comes to our mind when we don't want to believe, oh yeah, what is going to happen if doctor is replaced by a robot surgeon and then, something goes wrong. And how many operation goes wrong today? How many accident happens on the road today? You are driving, I am driving, it's not the machine who is driving. So that's how the disruption goes. So, one small gadget, few years back, came into our life. And if you go and open the first page, you'll find full of icons. And basically, if you think through that list of icons, what you will realize, that one small gadget replaced so many professions or industries. Think about the camera industry, think about the calculators, think about what we used to call an alarm clock in our life. Calendars, organizers. We used to have different machines, small machine. First time I went to US, I was so excited, somebody gifted me one. You can add people's address and phone number. Digital diary. What happened to those? That first screen itself killed all those. And how fast it happened. And how fast it happened, think about it. Anybody would have tried to convince even your great-grandfather that there'll be a time when there'll be a tiny box inside my room and then you can watch somebody in other part of the world live and you can interact with that person. He would have put a tight slap on your face because linear thinking cannot let us do that. So all these and many others will be gone. That's why I started saying that, you need to plan 10 years from now, and don't kill me because of that particular time. I'll have to pick up a number. I picked up a number, 10 years. If it happens by 15 years or 13 years, majority of the work what we do here will be gone, and you'll have to think about it. And then again, people came back and say, yeah, okay, computers, understand. You guys will disrupt the industry, transform the industry, and what you will do, you will basically do the donkey's work, those clerks' work. You won't be able to be creative. Maybe we'll not. Maybe we'll not. But then, people took that as a challenge and started looking at it, what we can do. And what we can do is very interesting topic. Different people are predicting different things. Some people said, within 30 years, in the next 30 years, we'll start implanting chips in our brain to augment the brain. Like what kind of chip we have in our cell phone today, in 30 years' time, you'll find that's happening. That will increase your brain capacity. It's quite reasonable to think. It's quite reasonable. I'm quoting the Chief Technology Officer of Cisco System here. It's quite reasonable to think that in years to come, we will send 3D printers to different planets to print the Earth-like habitat for us before we arrive there. Because the other interesting thing the other person said, Professor Frank Fremer, who created the smallpox vaccine to save a lot of life on Earth, obviously understands more than how to save life on Earth, more than many of us. He said, there may not be any human life on Earth in 100 years from now because we're making the place inhabitable with the rapid growth of pollution and growth of human race, like how we are replicating. So that is the other side of the story. So interestingly, the person who started PayPal with Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, he left PayPal, and he's one of the most respected Silicon Valley entrepreneurs of startups. He's not somebody like me talking, see what he's talking. Robots will take over your jobs, government will have to pay you wage. You know, once he came out of PayPal, he created this company, you all know the name, Tesla. The coolest car people talk about today. So he's not an idiot, he's a smart guy. And he's invested his money, where do you know? Creating a technology to take people to Mars, because he said that people will have to go and live in Mars, and that therefore that 3D printers are needed to create the habitat like Earth on Mars. But he was once joked in a Silicon Valley group meeting, and he said, you know what, we'll leave robots here on Earth and we'll take all the human beings to the Mars. And that's where we'll live. Maybe happily ever after. And it's not about him only. If you think this is a very weird concept, maybe sitting in India today, we might think it is a very weird concept that how government will pay everybody. It's being discussed. This year in 2016, first time in Switzerland, government called something called Universal Basic Income Scheme and wanted to pass it to the parliament that they will have Universal Basic Income Scheme of 2,500 Swiss francs per month for everybody. Voters rejected the idea. Of course, human being, linear thinking. But then, it created a lot of debate all around the world because, as I said, technology exists to replace everything we do today. So it is going to happen sooner or later. So people started looking at it very seriously. When this got rejected in the Swiss parliament, the next thing happened, a lot of world leaders get into a conference to talk how to implement this, because this is what is needed going forward. This summer, President Obama addressed the idea of universal basic income. So he said, President Obama said that whatever is it a right model or a wrong model, I don't know, but this is what all the politicians, all the leaders will have to think for the next 10, 15 years. We'll have to come up with a solution over the next 20 years. So there will be jobs, advertisement in newspapers and net tomorrow, where the last line will say, human need not apply. There is a YouTube video. I picked it up, that line. I liked it. But go and check it in YouTube. You'll figure it out. You'll find it very interesting. A 15-minute video called Human Need Not Apply. Now, all I'm saying here might sound very, very thought-provoking, because we cannot comprehend that how it's going to happen. Now, to take care of that, I go back and quote this famous Danish philosopher, Søren Kierkegaard. He said something which is so true. He said the life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. So if you ask me today, once I am down from this stage, and then how this is going to happen, I cannot tell you. 25 years before, 50 years before, if you ask somebody in the village of India that how we will use the mobile internet to take the challenge of demonetization, there wouldn't have been an answer. But it happened. Very important thing. So what I am trying to do here, I'm just trying to tell you that things are going to come and things are going to happen. So basically, let's prepare ourselves to embrace that change. Because that is going to happen because machines are getting more and more intelligent. Not in incremental way, but in exponential way. And they're replacing everything we can do. I'll finish by sharing something with you which people thought computers will not be able to do ever. Creating a new painting. So this was the challenge. And the bank in ING, and you can go, the nextrembrandt.com, there's a site on the net. ING Bank created this project and gave a task to a Dutch university and put Microsoft and brings a lot of data science. And they said, can you make a computer who can actually work as Rembrandt, who was born in Amsterdam many hundred years back? And it's not a copy, make a new one. If Rembrandt was live today, how he would have drawn a new picture or a new portrait. And they fed 800 Rembrandt portraits into that computer. And with a lot of technology, I'm not going to discuss it, otherwise the entire schedule will go haywire. But guess what happened? Computer, using artificial intelligence, created a brand new Rembrandt picture, which they then took it to some of the qualified people who can certify art, and they could not believe that this was not an original lost Rembrandt print. I'll roll the video now.
The next Rembrandt brings back to life one of the greatest masters. Only this time, data is the painter and technology the brush. Together with experts from various fields, over 160,000 fragments from all of Rembrandt's 346 paintings were analyzed, using 3D scans and digital files, upscaled by a deep learning algorithm. Facial recognition software was designed to understand Rembrandt's style and generate new facial features, which were assembled based on his use of geometric proportions. Finally, using a height map to mimic Rembrandt's brushstrokes, the painting was brought to life through an advanced 3D printer that printed 13 layers of paint-based ink. And so, 347 years after his death, a new Rembrandt painting made from zeros and ones emerged, unveiled and exhibited in Amsterdam. On nextrembrandt.com, people could dive deeper into the process of creating the digital painting. The launch video helped spark a global social conversation about where data and technology can take us.
Nieuw schilderij van Rembrandt.
Impressive just from a data standpoint.
Numérique, il a pris forme à Amsterdam.
Rembrandt makes a return.
A number of organizations took a seemingly impossible task.
148 billion pixels.
It looks precisely like a Rembrandt portrait.
The world was buzzing, with all the leading news channels and blogs reporting about the fading boundaries between technology and humanity. Almost 100 million people joined the conversation about ING's innovation defying imagination. The next Rembrandt. What's next?
So while no one will claim that Rembrandt can be reduced to algorithm, but this is very interesting and thought-provoking thing. And this is the new picture. It's not replication of or reproduction of any old picture. So you can make a computer think like the master and can use his brush moving techniques and thought process. Very, very interesting. So today even the most creative jobs are likely to get disrupted. And therefore, I'll finish today's presentation by saying that what I said in the beginning. So no matter what you do today, you need to plan and count on that most probably in the next 10 years, that will not be there. So the speed of change will never be as slow as it is today. It will disrupt and transform everything we can see around us. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Amitabh Ray, sir. Thank you for the very interesting session. I would like to request Mr. Didi Prakash, the Managing Director and CEO, ABP Private Limited, and Chairman INFOCOM to kindly come forward and present a memento to Mr. Amitabh Ray. Thank you very much, sir, for being here and gracing the occasion, and giving also the theme keynote speech. Thank you, sir.